The Texas Rangers have reportedly shown interest in outfielder Jurickson Profar. This would be a familiar face to the organization as he was our #1 prospect way back in the day, and he was a solid contributor in the 2018 season, and he is the reason why we acquired Brock Burt. The Marlins were also inquiring on Profar. However, after the recent trade of Pablo Lopez going to the Minnesota Twins for Luis Arias, they may be out of the running for Jurickson Profar. Let's break down the pros and the cons, what his contract would look like, and what his role would look like with the team. So in 2022, Jurickson Profar had a 2.5 F4 and a 110 WRC+. So that means he was 10% above league average as far as hitting goes. And if we're breaking it down from the Texas Rangers left field production in the 2022 season, they had a combined total of a negative 0.8 F4. So that's obviously terrible. So Profar would obviously be a step in the right direction, and a 58 WRC+. Another pro is Jurickson Profar is extremely versatile. He has played every single position in the MLB except pitcher and catcher. However, recently he has stayed away from the shortstop and third base positions, but I don't really think we would need him to play shortstop. However, I do think he would be a good guy to fill in at third base if Josh Jung does struggle in the season. Another pro about Jurickson Profar is that he can hit both left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. In 2022 versus righties, he had a .317 WOBA and a 108 WRC+, so nothing outstanding, but still better than what the Rangers had in 2022. And versus left-handed pitching, he had a .328 WOBA and a 115 WRC+. He would also be a veteran presence, and I feel like signing Profar signals to the guys like Bubba Thompson, Josh Smith, and Ezekiel Duran that even though these guys have been top prospects, obviously Bubba Thompson, and first-round pick by the Rangers, Josh Smith and Duran, top prospects in the Gallo trade, even though those guys had high pedigree, it just shows that we're not going to hand out positions. So I do like the Rangers are looking at Profar, even though he's not the flashiest guy like a Brian Reynolds. And two more things about Profar is that he is durable, as he has played 85% of the games in each of the past 5 seasons. For instance, Byron Buxton, he has only played about 50% of the games, but obviously Byron Buxton is one of the most injured players in the MLB, and Profar is still in his prime. He's 29. If you were to go after a guy like David Peralta, which the Rangers have been interested in, and some of you guys on the Discord and on my Twitter have said go after Peralta, he is one of the oldest outfielders in free agency. Also, Peralta can't hit left-handed pitching. Obviously, we do have guys on the bench like Mark Mathias who could be a platoon, but I do like the ability of Profar, who could hit both pitching when he is having a good year and he's still in his prime. So I don't think we would see a major regression. The cons of Jurickson Profar is that he has off and on years, and it seems like it goes an on year, then an off year, on year, off year. Back in 2018, when he finally had some production with the Texas Rangers, he had about a 1.8 WAR. We traded him to the Oakland Athletics. He didn't play well, and then the Athletics traded him to the San Diego Padres. He played pretty well in the shortened season. The COVID year, 2021, he didn't play well, and then he comes out in 2022 and has one of his best seasons yet. So, obviously, fans of the Rangers are a little skeptical. Why should we give him a deal when you should see what you have in a Josh Smith or a Bubba Thompson or a Duran? Well, I will explain why. One, I do think Profar can help you win games. If we want to compete, and it shows the Rangers have shown signs that they do. Obviously, you don't sign DeGrom and Boshi if you don't want to compete. So you need to win as many games as early on as possible. And if, let's just say, Thompson and Smith don't become the players that you guys want to be, then we're screwed. Who else are we going to call up? Obviously, we have Evan Carter and Dustin Harris in the minor leagues, but Jurickson Profar will help them develop more, and you don't have to rush the prospects to the major leagues. And I do still believe in Ezekiel Duran, and this signing would help give Duran more time, because if we remember, the old regime of the Texas Rangers would rush prospects to the major leagues super fast. Odor, Jurickson Profar, for example, Joey Gallo, Nomar Mazara, etc. So I think it is crucial to get a veteran presence like Profar. And I'll say this, he's not my first option, but it's January, so this is one of the best options still available in free agency, and it doesn't look like a Brian Reynolds trade is going to happen. What would a contract look like? Well, let's just go back to earlier in the offseason when Profar declined his $8.33 million player option. So obviously Profar was hoping to get more in free agency than around that $8.33 million. However, I don't think he is going to get that unless it gets nifty with the contract. I think you could find somewhere around a 1-year deal around $7.5 million, which could be with a club option for the next year, because obviously if Profar played how he did in 2020 and 2023, you'd probably want him for the 2024 season. However, if he doesn't play well, you have a $1 million buyout, and then Profar would have $8.5 million guaranteed. So technically, he would still be making more than what his player option would have been worth. Obviously, it's January, it's getting late, so Profar could sign for less. However, Adam Duvall, who is older than Profar and just came off of a terrible year because of his injuries, signed for $7 million with $10 million worth of incentives. So I think Profar should get more than that, but sometimes GMs get a little bit weird with how they do their contracts, and some people just throw out money willy-nilly. So what would the role be for Jurickson Profar? Obviously, he'd be our starting left fielder if everything goes well. But like I said, he could also fill in for Josh Young if Josh Young struggles. And then he could also be that veteran presence, just show the younger guys, like, this is how you do business at the major leagues. And another thing to point out is that for the guys that want to see Josh Smith and Bubba start at the major leagues, remember, there's always going to be injuries. You can sign Profar, he could get hurt, and then Josh Smith can play. But what if you have Josh Smith playing and Bubba playing and they get hurt? I feel like depth is super, super important. For instance, Adolis could get hurt, Josh Young could get hurt, and then boom, you could have Bubba playing, you could have Josh Smith playing. But for instance, if you don't sign Profar, then you would have around 3 rookies playing, probably Mark Mathias, or maybe Ezekiel Duran, Bubba Thompson, and Josh Smith. And some of you guys think those guys are dudes. I don't really agree with that. Just from what I've experienced in my time working with the Dodgers, I've gotten to be around players who I know could be like great players, and I don't see that in Josh Smith. I feel like Josh Smith could be a Tony Kemp, but Thompson just looks like a guy that could be a pinch runner, in my opinion. I don't think the bat will ever get there with Bubba Thompson. Maybe he could have one good season where he's a good platoon versus left-handed pitching. This is just my opinion. I don't feel like these guys should really be starting caliber players. And then for Jurickson Profar, like I said, this allows the prospects to develop more. Dustin Harris, Evan Carter, Ezekiel Duran, and another thing is that substitutions are getting extremely valuable late in the games. So, for instance, you need a pinch runner. Jurickson Profar allows the flexibility. Say he's starting in left field, you need a pinch runner. Oh, you can move him to first base, you can move him to second base. And in the event of an injury, say Corey Seager gets hurt, Marcus Semien can move over the shortstop, Jurickson Profar can move over the second base, and maybe you have Ezekiel Duran playing in left field if he's balling out in AAA. So I feel like Jurickson Profar is the best player available in free agency at this point in the offseason. Like I said, he's not my favorite guy. Obviously, Brian Reynolds would put this team to a whole new level, but I feel like you guys are some of you guys are undervaluing just having a solid player on the team. I'm not saying he's Corey Seager, I'm not saying he's Semien or Adolis, I'm saying he's more along the lines of like an Austin Barnes level type player. I know they're not the same position. I know you guys are gonna say something in the comments, but not everybody's gonna be a star, and I don't think that you guys are gonna enjoy the production that you would see from Josh Smith or Bubba. I feel like Profar may be a little bit above average, and then you guys are hoping that Josh Smith and Bubba Thompson will be above average as well, but I really don't think they'll get anywhere close to average. That's just my opinion. That's all for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Tell me what you guys think the Rangers should do with the left field. Sign Profar, stick with Bubba or Josh Smith. What should the contract be for Profar? And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.